Welcome to the Podcast Monsters. I'm your host, Doug Bartlett, a serial entrepreneur, founder and owner of Bartlett Roofing. If you have a mind for business or you want to grow, we are the podcast for you. All right, welcome back to the Podcast Monsters. We are here today to talk about Choose Your Hard. If you haven't liked it already, make sure you smash that like and subscribe button. And we're going to jump into this. Got Ashlyn Bartlett here with me right now.
What's up, guys?
We're going to really get into, what is it that's hard and how to choose your hard. What do you think that means, Ashlyn?
Everything in life is difficult. Like, nothing really is easy that is worth it, right? So whether it's a promotion at work or a healthy relationship or any of those things, I think that at some degree they require you to work at it, right? Mm-hmm. And everything in life can be deemed difficult or takes work. And so essentially, it's choosing whether you're going to work hard at having a really good work or relationship or mental health or any of those things, or if you're going to work really hard at not having those things, right? Either way, it's going to be difficult. You're either going to be unhappy and unfulfilled, and that's hard, or you're going to have to work for it.
Yeah, I think that's, to like break that down, it's like if you don't work hard to be successful at the things you want to be successful at, you still have to experience hard, just in a different way. So if you're not successful financially, well, you have to deal with the repercussions of not being successful financially. You're not going to be able to make your mortgage payment. You're not going to be able to make your car payment. You're not going to be able to go out when you want to go out. You're not going to be able to go on vacation when you want to go on vacation. If you have a relationship that you're not unwilling to work hard at and put in the effort for, well, you're going to work hard at a bad relationship. It's going to suck, and that's hard. And so I'm going to choose the successful hard, which requires a lot of hard work, over the unsuccessful hard, which doesn't require much work, but you still got to deal with sucky situations. So why not choose the good hard, the hard that makes your life better, that improves your life and really makes it like happy and good to live? Because life is work, right?
Mm-hmm. I think the best analogy for this that I've ever heard is in reference to like physical health. And it's really difficult to be like in super tip-top shape, right? Like, you have to watch what you're eating. You have to be committed to the gym. You have to be disciplined. And a lot of people don't have the drive to go out and do it. But it's also really freaking hard to be overweight and eat like crap. It's hard on your body. It's hard on your mental health. It's hard on your confidence. You know what I mean? So that's one of the best analogies I've ever heard for this concept is it's really difficult to be in shape, but it's also really, really difficult to be out of shape, right? And so you get to choose which path you're going to take there. They're both hard. Yeah,
and there's a price that you pay one way or the other, right? It's going to be the price that you pay on choosing to be in good shape is you got to pay attention to that stuff. You got to work out. You got to eat right. You got to pay close attention to that. Or if you don't choose to do that, the hard is going to come in the form of medical problems and medical bills and dying early. And all those negative repercussions from that, not being able to do the things that you enjoy, right? That's the reason that's driven me to lose the 90 pounds I've lost this year, is because I want to choose to live a life that is healthy, which has been hard, but that's okay, because that's a lot better than the option of being unhealthy, not being able to feel like I've got the energy to go skiing or to get behind the boat on the wakeboard or to go on a hike someplace or doing those things that are more active and fun and that actually really are really fulfilling in life, a lot more fulfilling than eating a bag of chips.
Yeah, you were a living example of that most recently with your weight loss for sure. And I think that you can speak to that in the sense of it is really difficult to be overweight and deal with all the, like you said, those medical issues that come with that. But it's also really hard to go out there and make sure that you're taking care of your body. But which one's more fulfilling? At the end of the day, that's the biggest thing is, how are you going to let something impact you, right? Mm-hmm. And you need, even though it's difficult, like life is work, you've said that before. And I think in today's age, like not even just like the millennial generation, I think it's like society, people want things to be very easy, right? Like we can go to Amazon and order something and it be here in a day or 2 days. And we can go get fast food and have it in 10 minutes and maybe even quicker, And so I think that there's been a little bit of loss in the mindset of like working hard for something to achieve it, right? And they just want it to come naturally and easy to them, especially with, the way that technology is influencing society.
Yeah, I don't want to scroll too far off on this, but I think that, society is kind of programmed to be drones of, be dependent upon the infrastructure that we have. And you're going to experience hardness in no matter what you do. It's just, how do you do it in a way that is fulfilling and makes you a happier and better person? And I think that's really important. Accept that life is work. And let's face it, what would you do if you weren't working anyway? If you had all the money in the world, you're not going to be surrounded by your friends because they don't have all the money in the world. If you're not working, they're going to be working. It's okay. Just accept that life is work and choose a work that is fulfilling to you and that you're passionate about and that you can impact people's lives and make your life fulfilling. And so choose a good hard to be successful, to be healthy, to have good relationships, to be helping other people in some way or another. And that's one of my primary goals, is to really help as many people as I can in some way or another, whether it's through business or through them being employees and providing a good workplace, or pass knowledge through this podcast, to try to give anything I can to help people move themselves forward in life. And so I'm going to choose a work that is hard. It's not easy to sit down and do everything that you need to do every day, but it's more fulfilling than sitting at home and doing nothing, even if you can afford to do nothing, because that's just not fun anyway. So what's the point? Might as well get out there and choose a good hard. And along with that, once you've accepted that life is hard and life is work, understand that you have the power. Every one of us has a superpower over one thing, and that is what do we do every day? What is your superpower? Your choice every day with what you do every day is your superpower, and you can change the world with that superpower. You can be Superman to somebody if you choose to, and you choose the right kind of hard.
I was literally just thinking that. I was going to say the most beautiful thing about it is that you do have a choice, right? And so, if you have a dead-end job that you hate and you're hearing this and you're like, oh man, life is work, this sucks, I hate my work. Well, you have a choice whether you want to be there or not. And you can go choose to quit your job and pursue new opportunities and find other things to do, right? But it's difficult to do that too. So again, it comes back to choose your hard and what are you going to go after, right? But the beautiful thing is we have that choice.
So, if what you're going to do today is going to determine your success, then what are you going to do each day? You're going to look at it and say, if you're in sales, I'm afraid of rejection. So I'm going to tell my manager that I worked hard, but I really didn't actually go do anything, if you're like an outside sales position. Or you can say, hey, that's hard and it's hard to fail financially. Or you can choose to get out there and put yourself at risk of rejection in a sales position and do it over and over again and get used to the fact that there's going to be some rejection, that's going to be hard, but then there's going to be wins. And so the hard work is going to pay off with wins versus the hard having to lie to your boss, the hard having to deal with your own sense of self, your poor sense of self-worth because you haven't worked hard. Choose the hard work with success, because there's only one good way that you're going to have an outcome, and that is by putting in the work to actually, go toward that goal.
Yeah, I think like door knocking and roof sales is a really good example of this whole concept, because door knocking is difficult. It's not for everyone. You do have to face rejection, right? But it's really fulfilling, especially in roof sales, because we're getting people's roofs paid for them. Most of the time we're saving them tens of thousands of dollars. And so, yeah, the first part of this sucks, right? You got to go knock doors. You got to knock on doors of people that aren't expecting you, right? And you've got to explain to them that you're there to help them. But it's the most fulfilling thing that I've ever experienced, right? And so I'm going to do this hard stuff at the front end, but I'm going to be super fulfilled on the back end. So it's just a real live example of this concept.
Yeah, fulfilled financially, fulfilled with personal achievement, fulfilled with the fact that you're able to help other people. Those are all really fulfilling options, as opposed to being broke, not helping anybody, and being depressed because you're unhappy with yourself. Mm-hmm. Another hard is constant change. We talked about that in a previous podcast. Making changes, and failing forward and keep making changes. That's hard. It's hard because every change is hard, and you have to get people to buy in and adapt and modify their behaviors and move forward towards success, or choose not to, and nothing changes, nothing ever gets any better, and eventually you die. The very first house I ever built when I first got into construction, I was about a year and a half into construction. I started as a framer and then ended up building my first custom home, and that was a hard project. I didn't go in easy because the first customer was going to be a Pareto Homes house, and it was with a couple that he was a real nice guy, but she was a real hard person to work with.
That's saying it nicely, I think.
And, through that project, in the end it came, I put in enough of the hard work for it to come out. We won several awards in the Parade of Homes that year. It was our first house I'd ever built as the GC on. But there was a point halfway through that project where I gave up. I just couldn't communicate with this person anymore because it was just too hard to deal with. And if I had to do that now, it'd be a different story because I would have just forced my way through it knowing that there was an end in sight. But there was a point where, the homeowner was angry at me because I wasn't communicating well because it was just too much of that type of hard for me. And, I still had the good result in the end, but boy, the hard could have been easier had I had better communication and pushed myself to a different level of communication with the customers that were involved at that point. So, lesson learned as, if I'd chosen a different hard, the actual journey would have been easier overall.
Yeah, I think in my personal experience, that's a great story, but my personal experience, in my growth over the last couple of years as an individual, I kind of resonate with this in the sense that I could have just done what everyone else was going to do. And I considered it, right? I considered going and waiting tables. I remember specifically looking that Cottonwood Grill in Boise, Idaho was hiring. And I was like, I know how to wait tables. It's going to suck. The hours suck, but I know how to do it, right? Or I can learn a new skill set, and that's going to probably suck at first too, right? But it's going to get me to a better place. And I think that at the end of the day is the thing that you were kind of referring to at the beginning is if both things are hard and both, you're at this fork in the road, right, hypothetically, and both paths look kind of scary and a little difficult and like they're going to take a toll on you, but one is in paradise and one is in a black hole. Which one are you going to choose?
Yeah, there's really no option if you actually think through the long-term, consequences of both of those choices. And, there's some examples. Are you going to choose to tell your kid that you can't enroll them in soccer this year because you can't afford the enrollment fee? Or are you going to choose to make your follow-up calls every day? You could look at it and say, I hate my job and I hate what I do. I'm not happy with it. Or you can say, I hate it right now, but I'm going to go learn a new skill and I'm going to go, become a doctor, or I'm going to learn to be a great salesperson, or I'm going to go to some self-improvement seminars and put in the work to find a way to have a better life, whether that's financially or personally or internally, like with just yourself or your relationships. Putting in the work is harder at first, but the long-term effect of it is way, way better.
I think one of the biggest things that you can do to help with the hardness of those choices, even though they're leading to a better place, is create habits, right? Like that morning routine, for example, just getting into the routine of doing the difficult tasks every day, just making your bed first thing in the morning. That's not a hard task to do, right? To make your bed. You literally pull the sheets up, you pull the duvet up, you tuck the pillows in, you're good. But you've already accomplished something. So having that forward momentum and having habits, I think, allows you to tackle things throughout your day and your week and your month and your year and your life that are more difficult, that are harder to do.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think if you can make them habits like you're talking about, then that makes it easier because once you're in a habit of doing something, it just becomes automatic and it doesn't feel hard anymore. I think one that most people miss out on, and you can always pick out the ones that are doing this, is some type of a daily reading habit, whether it's an audiobook or actually taking the time to sit down and read. You're going to improve your life in the long run, although it's hard to deal with, facing your inner demons and understanding where your shortcomings are and understanding how you can grow and then putting that into action. It's hard today to take more time to read, but it's way harder 10 years from now when I haven't grown as a human being.
I think that to that point that sometimes the other path does look easier, right? To this specific example, I could listen to my audiobook or I could watch Netflix, right? The Netflix is easy. It doesn't seem hard. I just get to sit on the couch and watch TV, right?
Yeah.
But in the long term, in the grand scheme of things, that 30,000 foot view, it is a lot harder because you don't grow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. Huge difference. And I don't know, I think that this applies to most people, which is if you want to grow in life financially and in your relationships, you have to put in the work to grow yourself. And if you're not putting in the work to grow yourself, then you're accepting the status quo. And so if you're not going to, stop griping about it and just understand that this is your choice. You've chosen one hard, and you could have chosen a different hard, but you're being too lazy and you're not having enough self-discipline to actually get out there and put in the work that you need to put in to improve your life, whether it's in any of those areas, then that's on you. That's not on anybody else. So don't go crying to mama. Don't go crying to your manager. Don't go crying to your boss. Don't go crying to your friends if you're choosing a life that's hard in a way that's not rewarding.
I think the biggest thing is that, like you said, that investment in your self-improvement. There's a John Maxwell quote, and I'll probably screw it up, but somebody asked him a question about who he works with, like on his team in his company, because he's wrote the most leadership books out of anyone ever in the history of time, and his time is very valuable for that reason, right? He's very knowledgeable, and the first question that he asks is, are they helping themselves?
Yeah.
Every single time, because he's not going to work with somebody that's not already invested in their own self-improvement.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and actually probably something we should implement as a hiring strategy.
Probably. Good idea.
So I think the takeaway is understand what's hard, and accept the fact that life is hard. It's not what's hard. It's just that life is hard. That's okay. That's the way that God made us. That's where we're at on this earth. Is God made us to work in one way or another. And we're either going to work through hard things that are unhealthy, or we're going to work through hard things that are healthy. What would you like to wrap up with on this?
I just think the biggest thing is knowing that the delayed gratification of choosing the more difficult path at the beginning is worth it.
Yeah.
Like the Netflix thing.
100% agree. Yeah. We should probably do a episode just based on delayed gratification and some examples of that. Delayed gratification is a huge thing for me. I 100% believe in making sure that you are taking the long road for the better outcome every time. And so that's a great point. I love that point. My end takeaway on this is simply this. You have a superpower, and that is to do today what you can do today to live the best life that you can. Don't be lazy. Don't be choosing the path of least resistance because it's the easiest right now. Choose a path that's going to get you to the outcome that you desire in the end, and don't accept the status quo in the meantime. So choose the good hard and choose success.
I love that. Thank you guys for joining us today. Like Doug said, if you have not liked and subscribed, please do so. We'll talk to you later, monsters.
Monsters out.